So gold just had its worst year in decades, and things are looking pretty bad for a lot of juniors, so they say. Can you tell us what sets Pretium apart?
One of the key things that sets Pretium apart from others is the very high-grade gold that we have at our Brucejack project, which is located in northern British Columbia. You can see some of the gold actually here in this sample. And what we've done over the last 3 years is actually outline one of Canada's new highest grade gold projects. And the key thing about that is that even in a low gold environment, that we can continue to advance and move this project forward such that when we get into production, that the high grade allows us to modify the mine plan to match the kind of gold price. And so that's one of the key things that we have in the project and what separates us apart.
Great. When you talk about modifying the mine plan, can you give us a little more detail on that?
Well, we currently, based on the feasibility study which we did last year, which now we have to update in light of the current new resource that we've put out, it was based off 2,700 tons a day. And when you have high grade, it allows you to scale up. So we might be able to start at something perhaps less and then move up into that. So that allows us, it basically allows us to optimize the mining of the project to what the gold price is currently at the time.
Great. And how has the gold price drop affected your plans, particularly in regards to your lower grade Snowfield deposit?
The Snowfield project is located north of, in the northern part of the Brucejack area. It's about 6 kilometers north of the Valley of the Kings in Brucejack, where we currently are operating. Snowfield, as you point out, is a low-grade project and something which is more of an option call on the gold price. When we launched Pretium 3 years ago, in December of 2010, we were really focused on the Brucejack area and the high grade that we'd intersected in the Valley of the Kings. So that's been our focus, and that's what will continue to be our focus, is continue to advance Brucejack along through to production, because that's where the real value is right now.
And last year, one of the big questions that people were asking you is continuity of grade. So in light of your recent bulk sample, how would you address that question today?
Right. If you look at the maiden resource that we did in the project, and that was done by our QPs, which are Snowdens out of Australia, and that was done in basically April and May of 2012, then we had about 4.9 million ounces of gold at a grade of about 17 grams, and that was with about 60,000 meters of drilling. Fast forward to where we are today, we've now got over 220,000 meters of drilling in the project, detailed drilling underground. We've taken the bulk sample out, and of course late in December we announced their updated resource, and we're looking at somewhere around 8.7 million ounces of gold now at the same grade of 17. And so what it has shown is how we've been able to validate that resource by doing more detailed drilling. We continue to come up in advance and find more gold in the project.
All right. And also in light of the bulk sample, do you feel a sense of vindication in regards to what happened with Strathcona?
Well, I think the key thing here is that the resource which we put out to date comes from Snowdens, and they've continued to validate and stand by their resource. And again, I think what you can see from the bulk sample is the global model which Snowdens had done projected in excess of 4,000 ounces, which we would find underground. And of course, with the mining we've done, we've now recovered close to 5,800 ounces of gold from the underground. So we were very pleased with that, because we can turn that gold into money for the company. But more importantly, it has shown how consistently, as we drill and understand the deposit, we continue to find the gold there, and we see the validation of the resource that Snowden has done by the work we've done to date.
Great. And are you still on track for production in 2016?
Yes, we continue to focus on production in 2016. We currently are in both the federal as well as the permitting processes. We're focusing on them concurrently. They're done individually. And so as a result of that, we've already had our open houses. We've engaged with many of the local communities. We've been to Terrace, New Anch, up to Dees Lake, Smithers, New Hazelton, and we've met with many of the local communities, many of our First Nation partners in the area, and so it's part of the process to get out and consult and advise people of what we're doing. But again, this project, because of its high-grade nature, we have a very small footprint. Our environmental impact is very small. There's no fish in the local lake. Because it's been glaciated, there's no vegetation to speak of. And so as a result of all those things, and the fact that it had been permitted back in 1993, then we work with the regulatory environments as well as all those local stakeholders to continue to advance the project forward, targeting that 26 date for startup.
Great. And considering the market today, do you plan on developing Brucejack yourself, or are you planning on selling it?
Well, I think the market today presents a couple of opportunities. as you point out, with the gold price being down, that maybe perhaps many of the major companies which are looking at possible acquisitions they've done previously, I think they're focusing on their own opportunities and organic growth. What that allows us to do is to continue to advance the Brucejack project for our own account. We certainly have the staff and the capability to place it into production. When you think about this summer, we had 200 people working at site, and more or less for our account, we were really effectively mining. You know, we were moving many hundred tons of rocks a day, and so with a few key people, we can continue to advance this through to production, as you say. And so I think right now we have the funds that we need to get us through this year on the permitting aspect of it, and we'll continue to evolve it for our own account and continue to move forward for production.
Great. And last year when you spoke with CEO.ca, you mentioned that water, infrastructure, permitting, politics, all those things that can cause problems weren't really issues for you. Is that the same today, especially in light of what's happening with Taseko and the New Prosperity Project?
Yes. Again, you have to realize there's very much a difference between the two projects. Theirs is a larger open pit in an area where I think there are, it's not as remote. Our project, we're 65 kilometers north of the town of Stewart. We've got road access to it. We're 60 kilometers away from power. We're in an area where there's very little activity going on. That we do have road access into the project, but because we're a high-grade mine, our disturbance in the environment is quite minimal. Again, we are looking at mining maybe 16 million tons based off the previous feasibility study we did. More than half, or close to half that material go back underground. And so again, with a small environment impact, the fact it had been previously permitted and very good support for those who are in the local area, then I think that we continue to see this advance forward. And so, yes, we've got all the infrastructure and I think and all the support that we need for the project to continue to advance it.
Okay. And have you been in discussions with any local communities? Do you sense that there's a widespread support for the project?
Yes, as I pointed out in the fall, late in the quarter, we actually went to the sites. I said we're up to Nuayanch, into Dease Lake, into Terrace, Smithers, and up into New Hazelton, where we met with not only the local industry leaders, but also met with many of our First Nation partners in the area when you're looking at the Skikimlaksha, the Nishka, the Tahltan, and so have had meetings across a wide variety of interested parties, all eliciting their support, and to date we continue to have that. I think they realize there's an opportunity here to provide 400 to 500 high-paying, good quality jobs in an area that's been previously permitted in mining. If you look at it, the Eskay Creek mine is located north of us about 15 kilometers. That was one of Canada's high-grade gold mines. It just shut down. So in an area that is previously permitted, there are people in the north who have the skill sets that we need at the mine, and we certainly want to continue to focus on engagement with local communities to help us advance the project.
Great. And just a final question. I know we touched on this briefly before, but can you just tell us what your immediate next steps are and what you plan for 2014?
Right. For 2014, we will continue with permitting. That's going to, of course, be our main focus for the company. From a technical point of view, we announced our resource in December. We'll get our results from that in our 43-101, which will be put out. We had extracted the gold from underground, so of course we'll be selling our gold and getting revenue coming from the gold. And then based off the results of the 43-101 and some of our permitting, we'll determine what else we may need to do at the site, whether it's additional technical work, in order to continue to help us meet that timeline of production in 2016.
Perfect. Thanks for your time, Mr. Quartermain.
Great. Thank you very much.